Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So you can open your textbooks, revise what was taught in the earlier class. Just you can go through those points. We'll start in a couple of minutes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Okay. So before the summer vacations, we have covered part of the syllabus for tissues, that is the plant tissues and animal tissues. So in the animal tissues, we have covered the epithelial tissue. So four types of tissues are there in our syllabus: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular and nervous tissue. So what kind of tissue will be present in the trachea?
So ciliated.
Ciliated will be there, correct. So ciliated is a kind of columnar. Okay. So here we can see that columnar ciliated epithelium. In that one, the lining of the trachea, the windpipe, we have this ciliated. Okay, so next we are moving on to the connective tissue. So the term is very clear, connective. Connective means it has going to connect the different tissues or organs, it is going to connect. So the connective tissue, it binds the organs or tissue with each other, keeping them in the proper place, and they have very few cellular elements. Okay, they have an abundant matrix, that is intercellular space and fibers. So very few cellular elements means the organelles that are there. For example, we will be seeing the different types of the connective tissue. They are classified into, one is the connective tissue proper. Okay, so when we say proper, that means exactly how the name is, it means the same, connective tissue proper. So it functions for packaging and binding the organs. So here there are the areolar or packing tissue, adipose or fat tissue, and fibrous connective tissue, three types. Okay, so overview you have to see first. As I told earlier, in this particular chapter, what is important is you should know the complete skeleton of this chapter first. What are the different types of tissues, what are the subcategories. So in the connective tissue, the subcategories are connective tissue proper, supportive connective tissue, and fluid connective tissue. Okay, and further in the connective tissue proper, we have areolar, adipose, and fibrous connective. We will see in detail. The next one is the supportive. Under supportive we have the cartilage and bone, and the third one is the fluid. Fluid is the blood and lymph. These are the two types of fluids are there. Okay, so let us see in more detail about the connective tissue proper, that is the areolar tissue. The term sounds something like air. Okay, so just like the bubble wrapping will be coming, sometimes you order some things online or something, you get some bubble wrapping inside that. So it's kind of packing, areolar packing. So it's mostly where it is found, beneath the epidermis of the skin. It functions to make the skin elastic so that it can withstand the pulling strain. So here the areolar tissue is also called the packing tissue. It is going to have all sorts of things, from that bubble wrap to fibers, cardboard, all these kind of things, whatever we are using in the packing, all these kind of things will be there. It is most commonly where it is found beneath the epidermis of the skin. So we know that the skin is elastic, it can withstand this pulling strain. That is because of the tissue, that is the areolar tissue. The another type of the connective tissue is the adipose or fat tissue. So these are the specialized cells that store the fat. They form the padding under the skin around the kidney, eyeball, etc. And the padding under the skin, it acts as an insulator for retaining the body heat. So all of us know that some of the animals, they will be going to hibernation. Okay, just like the polar bear. So it will eat a lot before going to hibernation. Before going into hibernation, it will take a lot of food. And it will build up its, what you can say, fat. This fat layer, it will not allow the atmospheric temperature, that cooling temperature, to affect the body function. But it will act as an insulator, that is what we say. And also for many organs that are there under the skin, around the kidney, eyeball, in the heart, around all these places, you will see that there is a kind of fat tissue will be there. It is going to provide a kind of shock absorber kind of function. Okay, so these are all adipose. Adipose means fat. So sometimes also we hear that some of the people are gaining, they are becoming obese. Okay, obese, that is very fat. So when they become very fat, then they need to get rid of the excess fat from their body. So in the surgical procedure, they are going to remove what kind of tissue?
Adipose.
Adipose tissue they are going to remove. Okay, so the adipose tissue that is accumulated in more quantity, those adipose tissue they will be removing. That is the cells which are having most amount of fats. Okay, these are special cells which will simply store the fats. Lot of fats will be there in them. So that is the adipose tissue. Next is the fibrous connective tissue. Now the fibrous connective tissue, as the name suggests, is a fibrous, something like fibers will be there. Okay, so there are the two types. One is the tendons, tendons, and they are the ligaments. These are made up of fibers which are elongated cells. They are strong and they are bundled together by the areolar tissue. This particular tendon and ligament, most of the students will be confusing. Tendon is to connect muscle to the bone and ligament is bone to bone. So you can see more clearly, and then we will see how can you remember this. So this is a typical knee joint. Okay, so this is the kneecap, for example, and this is the tendon. Here we have the muscles of the leg in the upper side, okay, thigh muscles or what you say, and those are connected to the bone. So this particular region where the muscle is connecting with the bone, M to B, muscle to bone, is tendon. Ligament is what? Ligament is bone to bone. Okay, here we have the femur bone. Okay, and here this is the tibia or ulna. This bone is there. It's a long bone in the legs. So bone to bone attachment here is by ligament. Now how do we tendon, ligament? But these kind of terms which are confusing, okay, these are very favorite among examiners. Okay, questioning answer, what question will be coming in the exam. So mostly these kind of confusing terms are very favorite. So tendon is going to connect what to what?
Muscles to bone.
Muscles to bone. Okay, 10, so you can see something like 10 fibers are there. Okay, don, something that is very dense material like a bone. Okay, like a bone or something. No, the bone. Tendon, I don't know, I'm just trying to make something, but you have to devise your own method how you can remember. Okay, so 10, like 10 fibers are joining to a bone, don, tendon. Ligament is muscle to muscle or bone to bone.
Bone to bone.
Bone to bone. Okay, so there are the two bones. The bones are linked to each other by the ligaments. Okay, by the ligaments. So I don't know, maybe you can use something like this. This is L is coming here, bone to bone ligament. You can do something whatever you like. Okay, but you should not confuse. The ultimate idea is don't confuse in these terms. Tendon is muscle to bone and ligament is bone to bone. Next, supportive connective tissue. Supportive connective tissue, they are going to give support just like the cartilage and bone. So the bone, all of us know, is a hard tissue. Okay, it is a hard tissue, and these bones have a good supply of blood vessels and nerves. So in the body, which part of the body blood is made?
Bone marrow.
In the bone marrow. Okay, so inside the
bones.
Inside the bones there is a hollow structure is there. Okay, it is a hollow structure. So in that one we have this marrow, bone marrow, what we say. So here the blood will be made. So if you consider that the bone is something like a marble, it is something like a solid structure, that is wrong. A bone is a porous structure. Okay, it will allow the things to pass through and go out of it. Okay, permeable, freely permeable. If that is not the case, then whatever the blood is being made inside the bones, how it can come outside? Okay, so bones are making the blood, and the bones are having not only the blood supply, they are not only making the blood, but they also have the nerves. Okay, so the nerves are there, therefore there is a sensation. Even if a surgeon is giving you anesthesia, say, just one moment. Okay, so inside the bone there are also the nerves are there. So the surgeon, even if he is giving an anesthesia which is going to numb the outer muscle tissues and all those things, if it is not a general anesthesia, then still you can feel the pain from the bones. Okay, when there is a damage being done to the bones, any invasive procedure is there on the bones, there are nerves in the bones, you will feel the pain. So the bone is a porous structure, okay, hard porous tissue. It has a good supply of the blood vessels and nerves, and it is made up of both the living cells. The living cells are known as the osteoblast and the rigid mass of the inorganic salts. This is also another favorite question. What are the living cells of the bone known as? Osteo. Bones means we start with osteo. Okay, osteoblast. Osteoblast are the living cells of the bone, and the calcium, phosphates, and all these things, they will give the strength to the bones. That is the inorganic salts. So the bone, we can compare it with the cartilage. Okay, cartilage, where we are finding the cartilage?
So in the ears, outer ears.
Yes, in the ears, in the tip of the nose. Okay, so they are very flexible. Okay, when you look at the tip of the nose, external ear, inside the body, it is the windpipe or the trachea, bronchial tubes, all these things, they have the cartilage. So when we compare the bone and cartilage, the first thing is the cartilage is elastic. It is a semi-transparent and elastic. It is a non-porous tissue. Unlike bones, which are hard but they are porous, cartilage is non-porous, and it has a thickened intercellular substance called matrix. There is no supply of blood vessel or nerves. So generally people who are going to pierce the ears or the nose, okay, the pain that is associated with that procedure, okay, piercing of the ear and nose, which has the cartilage tissue, generally it is not as painful as it will be with if there is a damage to the bone. Okay, suppose we make a similar hole in your finger, it is a very painful, extremely painful. But the same when we are making the hole through the cartilage, the pain is bearable. It's a bearable pain. Okay, so that is the difference, because cartilage, it is not having the blood vessels and it is also not having the nerves. Therefore there is no loss of excess blood when we are making the any kind of hole or something in the cartilage, or any damage is happening in the cartilage. Okay, so this is the supportive connective tissue. The third type of connective tissue is the fluid connective tissue. So what is the difference between the blood and the lymph? Can anyone say?
So lymph is the part which leaks out of the blood vessels.
Correct. So composition wise or something else, if you want to say, like whether blood and lymph, they will circulate together.
So blood carries RBCs, WBCs and platelets, while a lymph only has got a WBCs, that is lymphocytes.
Yes, that is correct. And when we look at the circulation of the blood and lymph, both of them have the separate type of circulatory system or same circulatory system?
So different. Lymph circulates through lymph vessels.
Through lymph vessels. The blood is through the blood vessels. It will arteries and veins and capillaries. So all these places we have the circulation of the blood. But circulation of the lymph is through the lymphatic vessels. So whether the heart is also involved in the circulation of the lymph?
No, sir.
No, it is not involved. Okay, the circulation of the lymph is by the passive method. Okay, so when we are moving our body, we are playing or walking and all, at that time it will help in the movement of the lymph. And we know that the composition of the lymph, you see, the blood is composed of the liquid part, that is the plasma, and the cellular part, that is the red blood cell, white blood cell and platelets. So sometimes if you have gone to any diagnostic center or something, they draw the blood for some blood test and they will put in some tube. Okay, if you leave it for quite some time without putting that anticoagulant and all, then what will happen is slowly the blood will clot, and after it clot, the solid part appear to settle down, and up you have a straw colored some fluid will be there. Okay, so that the fluid, the liquid part of the blood is the plasma, and the cellular part, which is having all the cells, WBC, RBC, platelets, that is the cellular part. So these two components are there in the blood. In the lymph, there are the WBC, but there is no RBC. So you can imagine how much RBCs are going in the lymph system, lymphatic system, and the general immunity of a person, because today immunity is the keyword. Everyone is talking about immunity, right? Eat this one, take this one, take my product, buy my product, it will boost the immunity. All these kind of things are going on. Okay, that's all good at its place, but you have to understand that the human body itself is capable of fighting most of the diseases and infections. So how to improve the immunity? Keep your lymphatic system active. When you keep your body active from morning to evening, sitting before the TV, watching the mobile, just being stationary at one place is not going to improve the immunity. Okay, one has to do some physical work throughout the day. Keep on doing some physical work, keep moving. That will help in the circulation of the lymph. So wherever the infections are there, the WBCs will be able to reach more fast and able to clear those things. Okay, so in this way we have the fluid connective tissue, that is the blood and the lymph. So that is about the connective tissue. Connective tissue proper, supportive connective tissue and fluid connective tissue. Next, muscular tissue. Okay, so the tissue, that is what the muscles are made up of, muscular tissue. It is helping in the contraction and relaxation of the muscles. Now there are the three types of the muscular tissue: striated, unstriated, cardiac. Okay, we will see. Okay, try to understand the terms. If you understand the terms, then it is very easy. Okay, just you see carefully at these terms. Striated. Striated means what? There is a striated pattern. Striations. Strips. Stripe. So that means if you look at some of the some snakes or something, you will be able to see some banding pattern will be there, like bands, some kind of pattern will be there. Okay, some black and yellow, like zebra crossing. Like zebra crossing is there, black and yellow, like that. yeah, white and black, like that. So there is a what you say striped or striated pattern, some kind of bands pattern, that is called striated or striped. Okay, or you simply we say no that is wearing a striped shirt. Okay, so the shirt pattern is striped, that means bands, lines are there, line kind of bands are there. Okay, voluntary means
Under control.
under one's control. So when you are doing anything, okay, under your control, some voluntary movement is there, person is jumping, you think he want to jump, he is jumping, so there is a voluntary action. Okay, so skeletal, something to do with the skeleton, the bones, so skeletal muscles. So here you have all of these meaning the same thing, that is the striated, striped, voluntary skeletal muscles. This has to be compared with the unstriated, unstriped, smooth muscles. Okay, these two are the contrasting types. These are the different types. And the third one, the term itself, cardiac, most of you will be able to guess it is from which organ? Heart. So this cardiac or the heart is having what type? Involuntary. Of course it is not under our control. If I want my heart to beat fast, it will not beat fast. It is having its own brain, it will do its own work. Striated, it is also striated, and also it is a branched. This branching pattern is not there in either of the above two. Okay, so let us see one by one. The first type of tissue, muscular tissue, is the what we say skeletal muscles, striped, striated, voluntary. It is found in the arms, legs, neck, and 50% of the muscles that are there in our body, these are the striated muscles. They are made up of the long fiber cells which are nucleated and striated. Light and dark bands run across the fibers. They are under our will, under our control. So you can see here the skeletal muscle is this one, the third one, skeletal muscle. So in the legs, for example, here it is being shown. So you are able to see that under the microscope, this muscle cells, the tissues are having this kind of bands, patterns are there, striped patterns, like some zebra crossing. Okay, that kind of bands are there. These dark structures are the nucleus. Okay, so these cells are nucleated, they have this striated. Okay, these are bundled together like this, fibers are bundled together. So these are the skeletal muscles. Okay, this we are comparing with the smooth muscles. Smooth muscles are generally found in the tissues like this intestines, stomach. Okay, so there we don't need to really make some lot of voluntary movements and all. So when we look under the microscope, this kind of banding pattern is not there. Okay, it's smooth, nucleus is there. Okay, it is involuntary, it is not under our control. Okay, and if you look at the structure, they are not so much bundled like the skeletal muscles. These are not that much bundled. Okay, so the unstriated or striped or smooth muscle, they are found in the walls of the intestine, helping in the passage of the food. Muscles of the iris of the eye. Okay, what is the iris?
So the outer part of the eyes.
Now, iris is like most of us these days have a lot of idea about how the camera functions. So in the camera, when you press the camera, generally the sound will come, no, some kichik, like that sound will come. So what has happened at that time? There is a shutter. Okay, inside the camera there will be shutter. It will open for a short time to allow the light to come inside the camera. that shutter that is opening and closing is the iris of the eye. Okay, it will make sure that how much light has to come. For example, we are going in a very bright day outside, then what is going to happen? The iris will become small, so that very less light will come into the eye. Okay, in a dark room the iris will open. So generally those who have watched the James Bond movie, so you will see that initially there is one that something like a circle, no, it will close like this and it will open like this, you know, something. So there you can see that is the shutter, that is the shutter. So the same structure is there inside the eye, that is the iris. So that muscle that iris is made up of is the smooth muscle. Okay, we don't think that I am going in the dark room, now my iris should open up. No, we don't. It is a involuntary function. Okay, the skin, the lining of the vessels, urinary bladder, uterus, all of these are having the smooth muscle. It is made up of the spindle shaped slender tapering cells which are uninucleated. They are not under the control of our will. Okay, so this is about the smooth muscle. We will compare that with the cardiac muscle. So it is very similar to the skeletal muscle. Main difference is that it is made up of